Hello everyone, I'm Dharti Chandramouli Yashoda, SAP consultant from Crypt Inc. Crypt is a leading SAP supply chain execution and compliance consulting services partner. Our focus is on helping businesses leverage the supply chain execution suite to gain a competitive advantage and increase their bottom line by offering services that include implementations, upgrades, and support. It is a one-stop shop for GTS, GRC, TM, EWM, and EM. Our consultants bring global knowledge and experience from over 10 industries. We have over 300,000 hours of consulting experience in SAP GTS, GRC, SCE. We have also provided solutions to various industries like chemical, finance, life sciences, wholesale, etc. We have a product named Whisker. It is a BI solution for supply chain operations. It can be connected with SAP components including GTS, EWM, TM, EM, etc. It can also be connected with non-SAP systems. As a part of Whisker implementation, we design, deploy, and manage the product, which mainly includes project planning, system design and implementation, post-go-live production support. For more information, please visit our website or send us an email at callcrypt@cryptinc.com. A demo will be presented by our SAP consultant on the following topic.
Hello and welcome everyone. My name is Naveen Nadapurohit, lead SAP Transportation Management Consultant with Crypt Incorporated. And today I will be taking you through the session for SAP TM overview and end-to-end process flow. We'll be using SAP Transportation Management 9.1 for the same. So this is the agenda. We'll be first walking you through the SAP TM overview, then the end-to-end process flow, the system demonstration, summary, and details in order to contact Crypt Incorporated for further information. So this slide covers the length and breadth as SAP Transportation Management capability. As we can see in the slide, there are four major pillars on which SAP Transportation Management stands. So the first is order management, second is freight planning and tendering, third is freight execution and monitoring, and finally we have freight settlement. So first is order management. Different kind of orders can be created during transportation shipment. TM acts as a standalone, or it can even be integrated with SAP ERP. So if we are integrating it with SAP ERP, we can consume the sales order and the purchase order that are getting created in the ECC system, or we can create forwarding order, freight order, and freight bookings independently in SAP TM system. All these orders can be linked and can be seen in one single one-stop place, that is the document flow. Thus it makes it life easy in order to view all the different documents or the orders that are getting created during one transportation cycle. So once the order are created, it is very important in order to plan the order. So planning is a very core and an integral part of SAP Transportation Management. Planning can be done in two ways. First is manual, the second is automated. So automated, this means interactive. There are two ways in interactive planning. So first is the transportation proposal, wherein it lists all the different proposals, out of which one of the best can be selected. And the next is the optimizer planning. That is the optimizer engine takes the input as the freight unit and the vehicle resource and plans according to the constraints that are being set up in the lanes or the selection profile, and appropriately creates an execution document. Once the execution document is created, that is a freight order or a freight booking, it is very important in order to assign a carrier. Carrier can be assigned in several ways. The easiest is manually, or we can even do the carrier selection mechanism wherein we will rank the carriers based upon the cost or based upon priority or a combination of both. Or even we can do is the freight tendering wherein we will tender the shipment to several carriers and out of which we will select the best one. So once the planning is done and we have assigned a carrier to the shipment document, the next is the execution of the document. That is physically transporting the goods from source location to the destination location. So freight execution and monitoring oversees that. The freight execution is to execute the freight order or the freight booking which has been created with complete document information like the carrier who is going to ship the goods, then the charges that will be incurred during the shipment, the location between which the transportation has to happen, dates, and the items. The last is freight settlement. So there will be certain charges that will be incurred by the carrier in order to do the physical transportation. So the shipper or the LSP has to, as he has procured the services, it is his right in order to pay the carrier the amount. So there is a structural approach that is taken by SAP Transportation Management in order to calculate the charges. So once the charge is calculated, the settlement of those bills will be done. Actual billing will happen in the SAP ERP system. So we will be having integration of SAP TM with SAP ERP for the actual settlement of the bills. So apart from SAP Transportation Management own capability, it is highly flexible and can be integrated with different SAP solutions in supply chain execution, like SAP Event Management, which will be used in order to track all the different events and the location real time as to where the truck is or as to where the goods have reached and what is the status, whether loading is done or unloading is done, for example. The next is the analytics and reporting, the BI and the BW, which will be used in order to create a historical data and to see who is the best carrier in order to ship the goods. The next is the import export and dangerous goods and compliance. So SAP GTS will be used for the customs clearance and dangerous goods will be handled by SAP Environmental Health and Safety, wherein we will be overseeing the hazardous goods and whether they adhere to the um, SAP EHS process. The next is output management, which will be used in order to uh, uh, get a hard copy of the document or fax or mail the document to the carrier, for example, so that he can proceed with the shipment. And finally, the integration and connectivity. SAP PI will be used in order to integrate all these SAP solutions with SAP Transportation Management so that they can leverage the power across the systems and can provide better solution. The next is scenario process flow. So let us take for example that I am a shipper and I am also a manufacturer. So I'm manufacturing cars. So in order to manufacture the cars, there will be a lot of materials that will be needed. So for example, if I am not having a material, I will try to procure it from different vendors. So in this case, let us assume that I have 10 vendors with whom I am dealing with. So I will create a forwarding quotation and I will send the data that I need to these vendors. And the vendors will oversee the data and will appropriately quote for the services that they are providing to the shipper. So once the forwarding quotation filled with the quote comes to the shipper, shipper compares this across the 10 different vendors and sees which is the best fit. So once he selects, he will approve the forwarding quotation and he will create a forwarding order. So forwarding order will be created for the ordering party and it will have the following data like the source location from where the shipment will start and to the destination location, who is the consignee, then the dates between which the shipment has to happen and the goods that has to be shipped. So once the forwarding order is created, we will be creating the freight units. Um, Freight units are nothing but the smallest and the indivisible unit that will be shipped together in one single resource. It can be a vehicle resource or a shipper. It can be like a ship or an airplane. We will be using a freight unit building rule in order to build the freight units. Like for example, we have a forwarding order and the total capacity or the order quantity is 500 tons. But I have got a vehicle resource which will be shipping, which is of only having capacity of 250 tons. So in this case, I will create two freight units, each of 250 tons, and I will ship it in two different vehicle resource. Once the freight units are created, it is very important to plan it with the help of a vehicle resource. So we will select the appropriate vehicle resource and plan the freight units. The output of manual planning is freight order creation or a freight booking creation, depending upon what kind of vehicle resource are we using, whether it's a truck or whether it's a schedule like for ocean or for air. So the next is once the freight orders or the freight bookings are created, it is very important to assign an appropriate carrier to the freight order so that the shipment can start, or who is going to oversee the shipment. So carrier will be assigned in in this scenario with the help of freight tendering. So once the carrier is assigned, we have a freight order, which is an execution document with the following details: the location, dates, and the goods or the cargo that has to be shipped. So the next step is executing the shipment, which is the physical transportation. So once the shipment is done, the next comes is the charge calculation. The charge, all the different kind of services that the carrier has provided to the LSP or the shipper in this transportation cycle. So when the charges are calculated in freight order, the next is creation of the freight settlement document. So once the freight settlement document is created, we will be sending it to the SAP ERP system wherein the actual billing will happen. So for the freight settlement document, an appropriate purchase order and a service entry sheet will be created in the ECC system, and the same will be getting updated in SAP Transportation Management System. So this is the complete end-to-end process flow. Now we shall see the same in system. SAP Transportation can use the NetWeaver business client in order to access the system. Oops. So this is the initial screen for SAP Transportation Management System. We'll go to the forwarding order management and we'll create a forwarding quotation. The quotation type and the mode of transportation for the current transportation shipment, and then click on continue. So this is the general data page. So herein I will give the sales organization, who is the sales party, Then the service level, the transportation mode, the traffic direction, the shipping type, and then the movement type. And then we will add the product details, the item type, which classifies it as a product. Then the name of the product, the gross weight and the gross volume. Next, we will enter the business partners. The ordering party, the shipper, and then finally the consignee. Next, we'll go to the locations page. So appropriately, the shipper and the consignee details will be filled in the source location and the destination location. Fill the pickup date and the delivery date. 15 September is the pickup and 25th September is the delivery date. We'll check the consistency of the document. Then we'll go to the charges page. You can do the charge calculation, which will eventually be the quote that the vendor is providing to the shipper. Then we can see the same data getting populated in the general data tab. Quotation price. And then the validity of this quotation is 31st October. And then we'll click on save. So the forwarding quotation document has been created with the data that is being filled by the vendor. We'll click on edit and I will submit the document so that shipper can verify the quotation price that has been provided by vendor. We'll submit this. So you can see the success message, forwarding quotation has been submitted. And then I'll click on save. Click on edit. So once the quotation is submitted, we can go ahead and create a forwarding order for the same. We'll go on to follow up and then click on create forwarding order. So you can see the forwarding order. All the data that we had given in the quotation document will be getting automatically populated in the forwarding order. We can just check the consistency of this document and then just click on save. So here the freight units will be getting created automatically. You can see that the freight unit 4150 and 111 has been created. So I'll just go to the document flow. So here we can see that two freight units have been created. The order quantity we had given was the gross weight as 100 kg. So we'll just see the freight unit. So the freight unit document is opening. So here we can see the stage description. This is the main carriage. Customer 1 is the source location and customer 2 is the destination location. So here we can see in the items tab, the gross weight is 50 kg and gross volume is 12.5 meter cube. So here it has created two freight units, each of 50 kg as the gross weight. So we can see the freight unit building rule as to how the freight unit split happened. So here is the freight unit building rule. Just click on it. Freight unit building rule document. So I had given the planning quantity as gross weight and the split quantity as 50 kg. So appropriately it has created two freight units each of 50 kg. So once the freight unit building rule document splits the freight units the forwarding order accordingly, we can see that two freight units have been created. So the next process is we will be planning these freight units that have been created to a vehicle resource so that we get a execution document, which is a freight order in this case, as we are using truck as the vehicle resource. So for the transportation cockpit, we will require an appropriate selection profile, which will select the freight units which we want to plan, and then a planning profile which will have the planning relevant details like the vehicle resource. We'll be using these two as a prerequisite in order to plan our freight units. So I will select the appropriate selection profile and the planning profile, and I'll just click on continue. So here you can see four different quadrants. So the first is the list of the freight units. The second quadrant is the list of freight orders or the freight bookings. Third is for the vehicle resource. And the fourth is the overview of the execution document. So I'll just select the freight units that I want to plan. So you can see the two freight units which have been automatically selected. And I'll select the vehicle resource that I will be using in order to plan these freight units. And I'll just click on plan selected items. So you can see the success message. and we can see that it has created a temporary execution document with $1. So if I click on save, it will then create a permanent document with a unique ID, which is a freight order. So 535 is the document number. I will select the freight order. So here in the overview tab, it will show you the details that are maintained in the freight order. Vehicle resource is TM underscore RES01, TM customer 1, where the loading will happen for this forwarding order, and then at customer 2, the unloading will happen. I'll just go into this freight order. So this is the freight order document. I'll just click on edit. So here in the general data tab, you can see that the carrier details are not maintained. We also maintain the purchasing organization who is procuring the services from this carrier. So now we'll go to the subcontracting tab, wherein we will be using tendering as a mechanism for the carrier selection. So in this, we will start a new tendering execution. And then we will select the plan for the tendering as to how the tendering has to happen. And then we will insert an appropriate carrier for this particular tendering step. The type of tendering we are doing here is peer-to-peer, and it is freight RFQ based. So I'll give an appropriate carrier. FedEx is the carrier. And then the absolute price limit, the duration within which the carrier has to return with this proposal, and then the different visibility settings as to what all things that a carrier can alter. So once all the relevant details have been filled, we can go ahead and publish this tendering plan. So here we can see the publish and save. So it will ask for the consistency, whether the tendering plan that we are trying to execute, we want to publish it or not. So once we click on OK, we can see that a RFQ has been created for the same with 102. We'll just go to Freight Order tab. road, then just click on overview tendering, wherein we will either accept or reject the RFQ that has been created for this tendering plan. Here we can go to the open freight RFQs. So here we can see the freight RFQ with 102, which is open. We'll select it, and then in this create freight quotation, we'll accept the RFQ. So it will ask whether you want to accept the changes. So it gives the success message that the freight RFQ with 102 has been sent successfully for the freight order 535. Then log into the TM system and simulate the environment. So we will go to SE38 and select the appropriate report for the tendering process, and then just execute it. So here we can see that the tendering for road freight order has been approved. The response is acceptable. The document is also consistent. And it also says that the freight order tendering for 535 requires the review by the tendering manager, whether the award has to be done for the same carrier or whether we have to still process it. So once this report is run, we'll go to this freight order and then just click on edit. And then just select this quotation. We can see the current status is sent and the response is accepted, but the award status is still, the evaluation is pending by the tendering manager, which in this case is me. So I'll just select this quotation, and here in the award quotation, I'll just click on this award. So this will award this particular freight document to this carrier FedEx. You can see that the tendering is successful and the carrier has been awarded. Carrier information has been updated successfully. And then just we can click on save. We can now go to the general data tab. Here we can see that the carrier details has been appropriately populated as FedEx. So once this is done, the next step is charge calculation, the charges that the carrier is providing for the services. So I'll select the tab for charges and settlement, and then just click on calculate charges. So it says that action has been completed, charge items are fixed and tariff is not specified. So this is the charge that has been calculated. Now I'll go ahead and create a freight settlement document. So before we create a settlement document, it is important that we execute this freight order. So we'll just start the execution. So I'll just click on set status and say that the document is ready for transportation execution. So you can see the appropriate execution status has been set. And then I'll set the item status as loading has been done on the vehicle resource at the source location, that is TM customer 1. So once the loading process starts, we can put that the document is in execution because the loading is done and the vehicle resource will depart from the source location. It says that the execution status is set to in execution. And then we can follow the same steps and we can set to deliver. That the goods that we had shipped from the source location has reached the destination location. So it asks for the delivery date, which is the delivery date that we had maintained in the forwarding order, just 25 September. And then just click on OK. It says that the event delivery of item has been reported successfully. So once this is done, we'll just set the status of the freight order to completed, which says that the document has been executed successfully. And then just click on save. So in the execution tab, we can see the relevant details for the execution steps that we have taken for this particular transportation shipment. So, so these are the following steps: loading and unloading and then the delivery of the item to the customer to, which is the destination location. So once the execution has happened and the charges have also been calculated, it is the last step is the settlement of the bills for the carrier. So in this case, we'll just click on the edit of this freight order 535 and then just go to this creation of the freight settlement document. Here we'll select this create freight settlement document. The execution of the document which we did some time back, we did it in this system for SAP Transportation Management directly. We could use any of the external SAP event management system or event management um, system that is provided in order to actually execute this document. So this is the freight settlement document that has been created. So just click on save and transfer, which will transfer this document to the SAP ERP system for actual billing. So we can see here that the freight settlement document has been transferred for accruals. This is the document ID which has been created after we clicked on save and transfer. So the communication between the SAP ERP and SAP TM happens with the help of SAP PI, that is the process integration. So we can see the lifecycle status is transferred for accruals and the confirmation status is not yet received any confirmation from the ERP system. We can log into the ECC system and check the PI status. So here we can see the life cycle status for this particular settlement document is accruals posted. which means that the posting for the settlement charges that were calculated in this freight settlement document 89 has been posted in the ERP system, and we have received the confirmation also from SAP ERP system. So we can see in the document flow. So this shows all the different orders we had created during this transportation shipment, as we had seen in the order management. So we can see this, the service entry sheet as well as the service purchase order has been appropriately created for this particular document. And it has also updated in the TM system from the ERP. So this was the system demo. So this is the summary. Um, what all different things we learned in this overview for TM as well as the system demo. First was the major functionalities that we learned in the SAP transportation management system, like the order management, which means that all the different orders that we are creating, then the planning, which is the core and the integral part of TM, the execution of all the different events that will be occurring during the shipment cycle, and then finally how the charges are getting calculated and the actual settlement in the ERP system. The integration capabilities with the ERP, TM and ERP go hand in hand, and we saw how the settlement of the bills, like the purchase order and the service entry sheet, got appropriately created in the ERP system for the freight settlement document in the TM. Next is the details for the contacting Crypt Incorporated. So this is the Crypt website, www.cryptinc.com, or you can also mail us at callcrypt@cryptinc.com. This is a serious venture that Crypt Incorporated is taking into account, and there will be furthermore informative sessions regarding the different functionalities in SAP Transportation Management, as well as its integration with the other SAP solutions. So keep watching Crypt channel. Thank you.